Hello, my name is Dean Heald. I am presenting a 10-part series of mini webinars focused on helping parents and caregivers better understand and more effectively respond to behaviors in the home. I know with the global pandemic, parents are finding themselves spending a lot more time with their kids in the home than possibly ever before. Certainly those parents, with older kids, we're finding that, more time at home is going to inevitably lead to some stressful situations, some stressful times, and that's perfectly natural, perfectly normal. Okay, so today we're talking about part 4, effective communication during times of stress. How can we talk with our kids? How can we communicate with our kids in the most effective way possible, so we're not making stressful times even worse? So first and foremost, the most important thing that an adult can do, that a parent or a caregiver can do, be that calming influence, be that person who, even though our kids are up here, even though our kids are super stressed or lashing out or angry or misbehaving, our response is dignified, it's controlled, it's calm, it's compassionate, it's caring, it's focused on learning. Okay, it's focused on the well-being of our kids. It's focused on the well-being of the home environment, the family environment. Okay, so when things do get stressful, take some time to individually cope, to take so that self-care time. Be mindful of that big picture. Be mindful of what's really going on. Our responses should always be thoughtful. Our responsible should be responses especially during those big times of stress. Our responses should be targeted to the needs of our kids, targeted and proactive, to what's focused on what's going to be best, what's going to create learning, what's going to create harmony in the home. And to do that, like I say, we need to be as healthy and controlled and calm, and we have to focus on that self-care of our own, and doing that, we model that for our kids as well. So I always say, if we don't feel anywhere close to 100%, we can't give 100%, right? So first 3 steps in communication with our kids, specifically during times of stress. First, listen to what they're saying. What is it that they're stressed? What is it that they're feeling? Are they feeling anxious? Are they feeling angry? Are they feeling unheard? Are they feeling uneasy about the world events? Are they feeling uneasy about the unknown? Don't make any assumptions. Second step, listen to your kids. And I bet you don't know what the third step is going to be. Listen. Okay, don't make assumptions. Make your kids feel like they are being heard. I know one of the most common things that I hear in my work when I talk directly to kids: my parents don't understand me. My parents don't listen to me. My parents don't give me time to really say how I'm feeling. Particularly in those big family homes, sometimes when we have 6, 7 people or even more in the house, our little ones can be forgotten. Creating that one-to-one time to really hear what's going on with them. And sometimes they're not looking for answers, so they're not looking for solutions to the stress. Sometimes they're not looking for anything other than just to be heard. So the most important thing that we can do for our kids, just listen to what they're going through, listen to their experience. Managing your nonverbals, and here we have a parent presumably that isn't managing his nonverbals very well. He's talking over the child. He's a big guy. He's pointing the finger. He's right in there, real close. He's got kind of a serious look on his face. Hey, it's okay to express seriousness. It's okay to express concern to our kids. It's okay to discuss an issue with our kids. But let's make sure that our nonverbals are not creating, are not threatening, or are not triggering. I'm a fairly big guy myself, and early in my career working with kids, I triggered kids with my nonverbals, not meaning to, wasn't trying to be threatening, but for some kids, they will take some of those, close in, getting in their bubble as a threat, right? So let's manage those nonverbals. Consider first and foremost what we're saying, how you're saying it. Okay, are we interrupting? Are we talking loud? Are we close in with them? Okay, and our body language, just what we've been talking about. So what you're saying, what is the message that you're trying to give to them, and is it lost in a whole bunch of information, right? For some kids, they're going to be most attentive or most able to take in the first few sentences, and then the more we talk after that, the less they're taken in. So let's be succinct, and let's make sure that the really important information is right at the beginning of that conversation. How we're saying it. Are we loud? Are we threatening? Are we, our verbals, does it seem disrespectful? Or does it seem compassionate? Does it seem like we're squashing them, or does it seem caring? Does it seem like we're focused on their mistakes, or does it seem like we're focused on them learning a new skill? Right? Childhood is all about learning from their mistakes. Right? We help them own their mistakes. We help them learn from their mistakes. Right? Stress. It's okay. Stress can be something that, stress can be a very good thing, right? Help them learn from their stress. And we can only do that by listening to them and having really, really great conversations with them. And then finally, is the message being received? Are they hearing what we're saying? Or are we communicating at a time when they're not likely to take that in? If we're communicating with them at a time of heightened stress, okay, is the message likely to be received by them, or is there a better time to talk? Or, we had this conversation and I feel like it went really well, but can we come back around, or can we get them to repeat? Okay, so we talked about when you get frustrated with your brother. I recognize he can be frustrating sometimes for you. What are you going to do next time? So get them to repeat. Was that message received? And then what we can do is we can act proactively next time a situation like that presents itself. Hey, I can see that your brother is starting to get on your nerves a little bit. What did we talk about? What can you do rather than getting yourself in trouble because you throw something at him or lash out at him? Right? So making sure that message is received, making sure that some learning happened. Make them feel heard. So we talked about how important it is to listen. What are some of the things that we can do to really make sure that, that they felt heard, seek clarification. So what I feel, what I can hear you saying is that sometimes you don't feel like, we're as fair to you as we are to your sister, or sometimes, we don't give you enough freedom, or, seek that clarification, ask questions. That shows them that you are interested in what they're saying. And if there's a misunderstanding, they can say, well, no, yes, that's a little bit, but also, right, it gives some insight in what's important to them. Express empathy. You know what? I hear that you're a little bit frustrated right now. I hear that that you had big plans for your summer, and it's and it's not turning out the way that you expected. And yeah, I think that I would be really frustrated too. Right? So let them know that you understand, or let them know that you hear what they're saying, and that you recognize that they're feeling a certain way about it. Just that can make them feel like, yeah, like that was a good interaction. They understand me. So I don't have to lash out to get my point across. I don't have to lash out to be heard. I can have a conversation right now with my parents that accomplishes the same thing. Try to understand their perspective, right? I know for myself, when I was a kid, I had a very unique perspective on things sometimes. And, the adults around me, a lot of times didn't share that same perspective. But even if they have a perspective that doesn't really mesh with your own, or even doesn't, in some ways doesn't make sense, let them share it. Don't interrupt. Don't push them away. Don't shut them down. Try and understand where they're coming from, because only when we understand where they're coming from can we support them in their stress, in their anxieties, in their worries. right? If we don't understand where they're coming from, we don't know what to focus on. We don't know where this, how to most effectively support them. Let them talk. There's a strategy called the 2x10 strategy, where for 10 straight days, we give our kids 2 uninterrupted minutes, and I would say minimum of 2 minutes. But and I feel like this is something that can happen every single day. But we're purposeful. We give our kids X amount of time every single day where it's just them talking, where it's just, they're allowed to take that conversation any direction that they want. Right. And this is a great strategy because sometimes our kids, they're stressed out, they're worried, they feel anxiety, and they don't even really know what it is that they're worried about. Okay. When we're in like, I don't want to say conflict, but when we're not, when we're on opposite ends of an issue with our kids, when we feel like, we're butting heads, giving them an opportunity. Okay, you know what? I feel like you listened to what I had to say there. I feel like you heard why I got so upset. You tell me about what triggered you, or you tell me what I could do different. Really let them have their say. A lot of times, particularly for our littler ones, they don't feel like they're like they have a say. Like they can be pushed aside sometimes. And our teenagers, they want even more. They're struggling for that independence. They want that independence. So for some of our teenagers, even more so, they want to say. They want to have their say. They want to know that their opinion has been heard, and their opinion has been verbalized without interruption. And I'll often say, okay, you know what? Thank you for listening so well to me. I'm curious. Do you have anything to say? And I won't interrupt you while you're talking. I'll communicate to them that I will not interrupt, and they can have that uninterrupted time to really say what's on their mind. Bring up those stressful conversations one-to-one. Right? Like, let's have those conversations one-to-one. Probably shouldn't happen at dinner. If stress happens, if we start butting heads, metaphorically speaking, if we start butting heads, we can step back and say, look, I feel like we're both a little bit agitated right now. Why don't we talk when we can talk one-to-one? That'll give you an opportunity to calm down a little bit. Also give you an opportunity to really think about what exactly do you want to say, and same thing for them. Okay. Communicate one-to-one. Then, there's less audience there for them to have to save face. There's less distractions there. Feels more respectful. All right, do's and don'ts. Own your mistakes. I like to say to my kids, hey, that didn't go as well as I wanted it to go. What could I have done differently? Or, you know what? I felt a little bit triggered there, and I think that I communicated in a way that I normally wouldn't. So I do apologize for that. Really owning that. We're modeling for them that sometimes it's okay when we're when we're part of a family, when we're in a relationship, sometimes it's okay to say, I made a mistake. Right? Model that. They're more likely to do that in the future, and they're more likely to do that in that situation. If my kids say, I don't want to talk right now, fine. Okay, we'll check in a little bit later. Give them that space. I like to have their room as their sanctuary. I always ask if I can come into my kids' room, particularly when they're mad. Do you mind if I come in so we can talk? Sometimes they'll say yes. Sometimes they'll say not right now, and I'm going to respect that. That builds that, gives them that safe space, and it gives them the power to communicate. Now I'm ready to talk. My kids always know that I'm going to check back in. They can't avoid the conversation completely. It's going to happen at some point, but they're allowed to say, I'm not feeling like I can have that conversation right now. And that's awesome. I don't want to have that when they feel emotionally ready. Agree to disagree. Hey, I've heard what you said. You've heard what I've had to say. I know that we don't necessarily agree, and that's okay. Thank you for listening. And then step back. And you can revisit a stressful conversation. You can revisit something later if necessary, or sometimes it's just a matter of just that. Everybody's been heard, and, let's move on. Take time for reflection. Reflect on, what happened, in a stressful incident. What happened during a conversation? What happened? How was your response? Did you respond effectively? Were you triggered? Were you transferring some of your anger onto them? Were you transferring the anger or frustration of a bad day or some of your own anxieties and taking it out on them? Whatever. Or did you, did it go just, next time I really wanted, that went really well. And next time I really want to make sure that I give them time to talk and give them time to say exactly what's going on with them, because wow, that really went well. And that, that really took the air out of some of that anger, right? So take time to reflect on it and own what went really well, own what didn't go as well. And hopefully next time it goes better. And then debrief, always coming back, hey, and we've talked a little bit about that already. I didn't like the way that went. Can we talk about that? Don't yell or raise your voice. I actually like to bring my voice below there. So if they're getting upset, I can say, hey, you know what? I'm not yelling at you right now. If you don't feel like you can talk with me right now without yelling, maybe we can talk a little bit later when you're a little bit more calm, right? And I'll bring that voice down and I'll model that voice for them in that moment to kind of communicate to them exactly what I'm, where I'm hoping their voice is going to be. Don't interrupt. Allow them to have their say. Okay. As soon as we start interrupting, we're modeling that for them, that's okay. And they're going to interrupt us and nobody's going to get their point across. Don't get into power struggles. You know what? You need to sit in your room until you do that. Don't come out until you do. I've worked with families where kids will stay in their room, all day, all weekend. Right. And so when we get into a power struggle is when somebody ultimately has to lose face, or, parents will start stacking on consequences. They'll say, you need to clean your room before you come out. And then the kid decides to spend all weekend in there. Okay. If you don't come out in half an hour, I'm taking away your TV. If you don't come out in half an hour or an hour, you're grounded. That's a power struggle. So don't get into those struggles. Recognize exactly what you want to accomplish, and communicate with them. Give choices. Don't threaten consequences. We can utilize natural and logical consequences for behavior, things that happen naturally. You stayed up till 4 a.m., playing or talking on your phone or playing on your phone, and now you got to go to school. No, you're not staying home. You are going to go to school, and the natural consequence of that is you're going to be tired, and it's probably going to be a long day. And the expectation is you get through the day, and you come home, and maybe you can go home and go to bed a little bit earlier tonight to catch up on your sleep. All right? Don't threaten those consequences. If you do that, you're going to be grounded for a month. Okay? It takes away some of our respectability, and it doesn't teach them anything. Don't bring up the past, right? I always communicate to my kids, like, when a situation's done, thank you. I appreciate the way that we had this discussion, and now it's done. If they feel like the past is always going to come up, then it's kind of like rubbing the mistakes in their faces, and that can be a triggering point. That can be something that makes them feel like, I can never get over that. I'm always going to be the kid who broke that lamp, and they haven't forgiven me, and that can be difficult for kids. Particularly when, as adults, we say, okay, I feel like you've heard me. I feel like we've closed that situation. We've closed that. We've got past that incident. When we communicate that we have, and then bring something up, it says, no, we actually haven't, and we're holding that over them. Never a good strategy. All right, so that's kind of some of the basics of communication during times of stress. As always, if you'd like more information, or if some of this has made you kind of, have some more questions, by all means, contact the wellness team at Kw'umut Lalem. Their phone number is right there, the extension 225. Thanks so much for participating, and we'll see you in part 5. Thanks.